Hey everybody, I want to talk really quickly today about some things that you've been having some difficulties with on some of our assignments. The main thing that I feel like I'm typing over and over and over in the comments is that your height and your base to find the area of parallelograms and triangles have to be perpendicular. Perpendicular means that they have to be at a 90-degree angle. So when you have just a rectangle or a square, that's super easy because it's already given to you. If this is your base and your height is already perpendicular, you're good to go. You don't have any worries. You know that you just multiply the base times the height. So for this one, you would do 2 times 3, and your area would be 6 square units. But what happens when you have a parallelogram? Well, we know because we've been practicing that if I just cut a piece of this off and scoot it over, I end up with a rectangle. So if I take this red triangle and move it over here instead, now it's going to be easy to find my area because I have a rectangle. And I would just multiply 2 times 3, which would be 6 square units. So we have to remember that when we make the perpendicular, that's where you would cut your parallelogram to scooch over the triangle to make it a rectangle. So if you look here on number 5, we know we have the base here. How do I find the perpendicular? Well, if you think about where you would cut it to scooch it off, right here. So I usually look at the bottom vertex, and I either go straight up from there, or sometimes you just have to go straight up with an imaginary height, because you're still measuring the height. So from the bottom vertex straight up will make me a perpendicular or a 90-degree angle, and here as well. So here I have a 2 by 2, which would be an area of 4 square units. Let's look at this one down here. This one can be a little tricky. If you look at this one, you're like, whoa, where would I draw a perpendicular? Because if you're going to go from one of the bottom vertex and go straight up, well, just one, that's not the height of the parallelogram. I have to go all the way up until I get, okay, this is the height right here. So this, I kind of extended like a laser line there to see exactly how tall this is. So my base is 1 and my height is 3. The area of this parallelogram is just 3 square units. I hope that helps you remember and figure out on your parallelograms how to make the perpendicular, or the 90-degree angle to measure the height. Think about if you went to the doctor's office and they always make you take your shoes off and stick your heels right back to the wall so that they can measure you straight up and down. It's the same thing with the parallelogram. They don't want to measure your slant or your diagonal. You'd be shorter. The same thing is true when we do triangles. So here, this triangle, the base is easy to see that that is 4, and the height is already perpendicular because it's a right triangle, so the height is 2. Now if I found a 4 by 2 area, I'd be finding this whole thing. Well, we know that a parallelogram chopped in half is 2 identical triangles. So I'm going to do the area of the parallelogram and then chop it in half so that I can find the area of just this triangle, which is going to be 8 divided by 2. So the area of this triangle is 4 square units. But what do you do when you have something like this, where you don't have a right triangle? You still know that the base is 4. Now you're like, where do I cut it? Where would I find its height? Well, think about, take the top vertex and drop it straight down, kind of like if you were going to put a string at the bottom with a weight or something, and it would be perpendicular to the base. So here my base is 4 and my height is 2. So to get the area, I do base times height chopped in half or divided by 2. So 4 times 2 is 8 divided by 2, again, is 4 square units. Let's look at this tricky one down here. This one can be a little tricky because, again, there's no height within the triangle. So if you just wanted to measure the height from here to here, that's not going to be accurate. Again, start at the vertex or the corner and measure straight up so you can see how tall this triangle is. So it's a 1 by 4. 1 times 4 is 4. Cut in half is 2 square units. Hopefully this helped. Make sure you read all the comments I'm putting in your assignments, and if there's a grade you're not happy with, go back and fix it. All right. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.